So the recording is on. We're on our highlight. Oops. We're on our highlights for today, the 29th, and we'll be doing plate 3. You can look at the previous one for plate 1 and 2, or as I just said, you can look in the playlist. So that's where we're going to go. And I am doing it on VMware. So notice that as I get started, I've got my resource file open. And that's available to you in our resource file for the week in the folder. And I've typed DC to get my design center. DC, design center, there it is. And I'm looking at open drawings. Open drawings. And that lets me see my dim styles, layers, layouts, line to all that kind of cool stuff. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start a new drawing. This is going to be plate number 3. So the very first thing I do is save it as plate 3. And I've already done it once so that I can remember what I'm doing. And again, I'm going to do this in a manner, it may not be the fastest, but I think it shows you enough cool things to give you good practice. So there we go. So I need to, I'm not all the way open here. I need to get to my stuff. There we go. Yeah. Yep. Well, you pretty much have to load dim styles just like anything else. And this is back from when AutoCAD was considered to be a resource hog, and they've just kept that way. The original one you open up never has it. So you have to create your own template file or resource file with them. Well, actually, yes, you can. Actually, you can, if you look at, I'm going to come here again. If you look at files, you'll see all sorts of different file, tool palette files, log files, working support files, support path files. There's like LIN files in here. There's all sorts of stuff in here, print files. And so they're all identified where you're going to find those things. And so you can put them in the file where you can just draw for them. But most people, it's like, oh, that's way too much searching. You can also do something called TP tool palette that sets your own tool palette, and you can actually put dim styles in here. So as I'll put under my annotations, I'll put, think I can do it this way. I don't remember where I go to get them. I'll have to remember where to go to get them, but I can drag them out and actually set up what's called a tool palette with all of those on it too. And that tool palette is saved in your system, and you type TP and it comes up. Yeah. So that's probably, and we do that in Design 302. But maybe I'll do send me an email, and I've got a tool palette video somewhere that I can send to you. So cool. That was a good question. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is draw my box again, just to sort of set that I know what I'm looking at. So I'm going to make a rectangle from 0, 0. Hold on a sec. I'm going to do it with my dynamic on so you can see it easier. 0 to 10 comma 7.75. So I want my shape to fit in there, and I always like to have a little reference. So I'm going to take my plate 3 drawing, so now I've got something that I can look at while I'm drawing. So I notice that this is really based on a bunch of circles and then some lines. And the trick is to notice very carefully, because of these lines down here, that these don't connect right at the quadrant. They don't come right to the center line. They're tangent, and they're tangent. And AutoCAD does give us a tool to do that with. So I'm going to make use of that tool. So I'm going to get myself some layers. And as always, I'll do my mechanical layers because that's what this thing is. And I hold my left button down and drag it in. And voila, there they are. This one I'm going to put on something called def points. So, def points, so I don't see it later on. Okay, and as I showed you before, I like to use something called construction lines. It's just nice because I can draw certain things and do this. So I'm going to first I'm going to draw a couple of circles, and it says their diameters. 1.73 and 1.1. And I go from there straight sideways 2.56. And from there straight sideways 2.56. And then that tells me where these circles are, so I can draw those. And those are diameters also. 0.55 and 0.94. And I'm going to do a cool thing. I think that this is a mirror image with a couple of different lines. So I'm going to go ahead and draw these funky lines first. And first, I'm going to move it over just a hair and move it up a little bit. There. I'm going to get it sort of set there to begin with. I'll move it in a minute. So now, I know that these two are actually going to be drawn. So that's my geometry. Let me turn those on. My geometry looks a little bit heavy. I'm just going to, and it doesn't change anything, just how it looks on my paper. Okay, so now watch. I'm going to draw a line, and you'll see over in the O snaps, there's something called tangent. So I can go from the tangent point. And see how it's like, it wants to find my center most of all. So even though I told it to look for the center or for the tangent, it's a little bit hard. So I either have to come over and turn everything off except for what I want. There it is. There's the little tangent mark. And that really did. See how it's not right on the corner? It's just right where it kisses in there. That's tangent, tangent. And I'll change that one to geometry. Now I could mirror this now, but I want to show you another little trick. If I've got all these on because they're useful to me, there's another trick. If I do this, if I hold the shift button down and right click, I can pick for this command only to choose tangent. And I'll hold shift right click, tangent. So that's just a little bit quicker. So now I think I can mirror that. And I'll mirror it across a 180-degree line. So I kind of have the most of this sort of drawn up. Now I notice that this is a hidden line. It's showing that there's sort of this flat area above. And so when I look down, this part of the circle is hidden. So I have to figure out a way to do that. And I'm going to show you the most straightforward way. I'm going to trim that line away. And then I'm going to go back to that arc command, because I know where the center is and the start and the end. The center, the start, and the end. And notice I'm getting the end point of my tangent line. Isn't that cool? Now you could do this with the break command, but I think this is just as easy. So again, and remember, you have to go counterclockwise with it when you pick your start and stuff. There, got it. Now I'm going to show you another cool little thing. I'm going to get rid of these lines now and do something else. Well, sorry about that. I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm going to turn them off for a moment. And I'm going to show you another cool command on annotate. And I usually put it on the dimension. And let's see if this one will come up on the dimension. It may or may not. But I'm going to center mark that. And I'm going to center mark that. Isn't that cool? Doesn't that make really nice center marks? And you'll see from over here, it's actually cleaner than what they've got over here. And these are close enough together that you don't have to put a center line between them, but you could if you wanted to. I don't think it does much good. Those are close enough. That's a really nice looking top view now. Isn't that cool? Now I've got to do this bottom thing, and oh my gosh, I have to really be thinking, because it's like this one's actually easier to draw as a solid. But I'm going to start like I did before with drawing the lines that belong to this and then figuring things out. So I'll go back to my construction. Whoops. And I'm just going to draw some lines down. And I want that quadrant for sure. And I'm drawing straight down, right? So things line up. These are my construction lines, or what I use to line things up. And I know I'm going to see all sorts of things there. And then I'm also going to put some construction lines there. And I'm going to put construction line there. and one here. So I think I've got enough to get going with now. So if I want to draw this kind of like top line right over here, I can do it now. This lines up with this, and this lines up with that endpoint. So let me go ahead and draw a geometry line now, and I don't care where it is along here. I can put it anywhere. So I just drew that line. See how that corner of the line matches up, and this end of the line matches up. And then it says I come down 1.45. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to come down 1. No. Let's see. Which way am I going to do this now? I think what I'll do is I'll do my offset. There's lots of ways to do this one, and I'm trying to think of which way I want to do it. Offset 0.47. So now I have part of this. But I know that it really starts there, and it goes until I get to this outside piece. So this one's kind of like, oh boy, there's a lot going on here. But I know those two. And so now I can go up and back and over, because I know where this one is. So I'm just taking it one little piece at a time. Up 1 inch, that's what it told me to do. Over to my construction line. And down. So I just got this side done. So now let me come back and do this one. I offset this one now 1.45. Then I know it's going to line up over here. And it's going to go until I get to this one. So now I have a few more things that I can draw. I'm still not quite there yet. Now I have to go up 0.5. And you can do these in any order you want. You can do the copy command if you want instead of offset, because you know that that point there, no, yet I think offset is easier. And then this one is going to go to there. Now I need some more of those lines coming down. Some people do all the lines at once, but I like to see the ones that I'm working with as I go. Sometimes I get confused if I get too many at once. But now again, it's down one. Over to here and up. I've got one more line to do. Woo! That one's got some stuff to it, right? So that's kind of a cool thing. And what I like is I can just turn that layer off and look at it now and go, oh, I'm missing some hidden lines, which I couldn't see before because there was too much going on. Sometimes you get too much drawn. Oh, there we go. Okay, and I want to do a couple more over here. Now, I did put these center marks in model space. Some people do not do that. They put them in paper space. But I think it helps me kind of figure out what's going on. In general, I have seen center lines most often placed in model space, but not always. And remember, those are a little too short. They all need to extend about an 1/8 inch out. That's the LEN DE 1/8. There, so now I have my object drawn. Everything else will go on my layout. So let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of this. Let me double click my mouse wheel so that I'm looking at as much of my drawing as once as I can. And I'll put my layout in. This one goes on an A-size mechanical layout. Mouse button down, drag it into the drawing, and there it is. Okay, here's the trick. I'm going to go to the depth points layer. That means I'm going to draw, and you'll see it, but it won't print. And now that I'm on a layout, I go to the little layout button. Everybody watch. That shows up when you're on a layout. Here, I'll go back to the model, and it went away. I come back to a layout, bink, and it comes up. So I'm going to click on it. And remember, this base thing that we used before, sometimes you saw me do, that only works for a 3D model. So I need to come over to this rectangular thing. I want a layout viewport. And I'm just going to make one that's rectangular. And there it is. But I don't know if it's being shown at a proper scale. So if I click on the viewport, way down in the corner, and look, it's 1.172706 to 1. Well, you'll never find a cool scale that measures that. I need a normal scale. So I think 1 to 1, I can always find some sort of a physical scale to do that. And now I'm good. Now, if it's not setting exactly where you want it, you can click on this paper thing and say model. And I can hold my mouse wheel down and move it around. And I think I've got these things a little too close. I can even move those. Be sure that you move it. Oop, I didn't catch everything. Be sure that you move it straight, orthographically. Now I think I've got enough room. And you don't have to worry about this box. It's not going to show up when you print it because it's on the def points layer. So now I'm going to do my dimensions. Now you can do your dimensions right from here, and that's cool. I tend to do it from the annotate bar. And I better look and see what those dimensions are supposed to look like again. They're all 2 decimal places. And they're all mechanical. So I can find my mechanical 2 decimal places with no tolerances. Dim styles. Mechanical, 2 decimal places. There we go. So I just dragged it right in. And now I want to set it. Now, any dimension I use, while that's showing, will be done that way. So here we go. I see some diameters. And I see another diameter. And I'm going to try to get them to line up if I can. I just think it looks nice. And there's another diameter over here. I'm gonna set it up here so that everything's all in a row if I can. Now this inside one, they're showing it down below. I can do that. And then they're showing some linear ones. Notice I can get it to click right on. So those are perfectly lined up. And these were in the model, so I know that I got it right. I think I have the stuff from the top. Well, this one says 2 times. So should this one. So if I double click, arrow to the front, 2 times, space, and click outside. I'm going to do the same thing here. Oop. Now I got all these goofy things over here to do. No, what they don't do is say 2 holes or 2 places. They do 2x because that's much more standardized. You know, a machine tool can read 2x and and know to go look at the other one. So that's how they sit that now. So here we go. Now I've got a linear one. And look, I can even line it up with that, which is an even more. I mean, we mechanical engineers, we are just so stuck on little things and everything. Like, to me, the perfect drawing is a tic-tac-toe or a stick man with the legs at the angles that, Da Vinci used, but a stick man. Everything's all like in perfect order. It doesn't have to be, but I'm going to say if you can, that's cool. Now this one's interesting. I'm going to go somewhere on here. I'm going to show you a better way to do this. I'm going to move this out. I'm going to put this one on later. Hold on a sec. It really is more clear if I can put my dimension outside of the part. This would be a preferable way of doing it, unless you're just totally out of room and can't fit it. So I'm going to do that one. And then I see another one that's going to need to stick there, which is going to be from this end point down to here. And then I got a little bit of a thing with my 1 inch that I'm going to show you now. Kind of a cool thing. So that's not too bad. And I can even move this down a little bit. But this little thing right here, they really don't like it. But that there's this cool break thing. Break. This one where it crosses there. Now that's a nice looking drawing. And if I was really spectacular, I'd be offsetting these. I'd have some construction lines that would make sure that these lines are all exactly equal. But I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so then we've got our other side, which says now go from here to here. And again, if I can, I'm going to grab that and put it in the middle. And I've got one from here to here. There. And I'd make them the same as these if I can. I've got some room, which I barely have enough room. That's a little too close. And if I needed to, I could move the whole thing away from the edge. So there we go. I've got the drawing kind of set. That's a pretty nice looking drawing. So now I need to give it a name, Control Arm. And I have to give it my name, R. Schuster. I have to give it a file name, Plate 3B. And a scale, and I may have to remember it was 1:1. And this is really important. And we'll go into more about these things later. But somebody will want you to be able to put a measuring instrument on the drawing. Now, we really don't want people to do that. We really, really don't want to. But we're still fixated on that from the olden days. And it's 06, 29, 21. There. Got it. And now I can get rid of that. Oh, I did another pretty nice drawing. So I better save it. And then remember what we did earlier. We said print. A single sheet, default. And I'm not sure if it'll give me my no, I don't have a previous. So I need an A size letter, the layout. And remember, I suggested that we use monochrome for your print. And then I'm going to preview it. Wow, looks pretty nice. And then I can zoom. And now I've got sort of the largest thing that I could snip from, which I've already done once, but I'll do it again. That makes a pretty good image to put into your portfolio. Oh, darn it. I hate it when I do that. Let me try that again. There we go. File, save as. And I've done it a number of times, so got that. And then, of course, you can plot it and you'll get a PDF of it. If you feel like it, you don't need it. And you save it. So there we go. That's how you do that one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording now.